Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about my family planners and calendars and kind of how I have it set up where I keep my family organized and how we communicate through the planners and just explain my system, how it's worked really well for me. So I have two different types of systems that I use. I do have a monthly wall calendar, which you see right here in front of you. I also have a family weekly planner that I use. And I was just finding for the most part that a monthly calendar is really great for your overview and kind of just give you a general idea of where everybody is and what's going on. But I really needed something like the weekly to write down more details and just things that I would never be able to either want or put on a monthly calendar. So that's really why I have both, and I'll explain both of those. So let's just go ahead and start with the monthly. I think this is a really good time to explain this type of thing because we are at the beginning of a month, as well as we're getting towards the end of the year. And if you are like I am, especially this time of year, I really am evaluating every single thing that's been going on through this year and if my systems are working for me and the new things I want to try and just those kinds of things, what I want to take into the next year. So hopefully this can spark some ideas for you or help you in some way. And if you have any ideas for me, please let me know. I'm always looking for ways to improve and to have a better system. So here is my monthly calendar. As you can see by my hand here, it is very, very large. And this is another thing I found with the monthly calendar is that no matter what type or brand of monthly calendar I would get, just your normal standard wall calendar that you hang from a nail or a peg or something, it just was never big enough. I was always filling up every single day with all of our events and where everybody is, and it just wasn't working. And I just could not write down enough information that I needed to in each particular day. So one day I was walking through Walmart, and of course I was in the office supply section, yes, and I saw this desk blotter, desk pad, they call it by different things, and I just got this brainstorm of an idea that I should use this as my family wall calendar. Now it's not made for that, it's only made to sit on a desk, but it was the size that I was really looking for. And so it's worked out really great this year. Now what I have done is I just have these Bulldog brand magnetic clips that I use. Then this magnet right here is about a 1x1 inch magnet. It's very, very strong. And I just have a magnetic board that I have hanging up in my kitchen. And so I just hang this family wall calendar just from that, and it just is perfect. So what I did, I don't have a completely blank spread to show you, because what I did was when I first got this, I just sat down with my washi tape and I started putting washi on each different month. And as you can see, from the 1st through the 30th, which is this particular month, I have outlined in seasonal washi, and that's just what I did every single month. And this is just your standard size 15 millimeter washi. And then I divided up the days. I think this is like 6 or 8 millimeters, something in there, just with solid color washi. Now I did this for several reasons. I am very visual, and I wanted some color in here. I think it also separates the days really, really well, so you don't have like days and writing running into each other. And also I have a lot of this type of supply that I want and need to use up. So that's why I do this. You definitely don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then as you can see with the rest of the other days and up top, I have just added some different stickers. These are cardstock stickers. As you can see, this is a really big sticker. So some of these I would never be able to use or want to use in a personal type of planner, but for this, they're perfect for it. And I don't know if I mentioned, but this is the Cambridge brand, which you can see up in the upper left. This right here is a little bit less than a poster size, but it is really, really large. So I think I measured, and the actual calendar itself, so just from here to here, is 15 inches right this way and 21 inches this way. So really, really large. And I really like that. So the monthly calendar, really for in any calendar that's used, that's a monthly, it's really just great for a good overview of what is going on and who needs to be where. I think, and I also forgot to mention this as well, I think this was only about $6 or $7 at Walmart, so really great price. Then after I did, a couple decorations with the washi and the stickers, then I just do what you normally do with any monthly. You start filling in your known events and what the things that are already set in stone. So I've got, holidays here, birthdays, anniversary, vacation, no school, just those types of things. And so that's where I'm at right now with November. Now each month right here in the bottom right hand corner, I have a Post-it note, and this right here usually is any events that are coming up. This right here is my husband's travel schedule. I do need to add a little bit more. He just told me about another trip. And so that's just like kind of like a pre-planning thing that I do. You don't have to do any of this if you don't want to, but that's really worked for me, especially with his travel, because a lot of times he'll either have to add more days or a trip gets canceled or something like that. So this is just more, write down events right here where you're not ready to put it on the calendar or you're not sure that it's actually going to happen. That's how I use this Post-it note. Then after that, I just fill in as I find things out what is going on. Now, because it's a monthly calendar, I try and get as much information as I can at the beginning of each month, but of course we all know that things come up. So this, like I said, this is hanging from my magnetic board, and then I have a shelf right below that, and this is just how I keep all the supplies corralled. So this is probably 3 or 4 inches tall, so it's a pretty shallow basket, and I just keep supplies in here that are very specific and I only use on this monthly calendar. So I don't keep this with all of my regular other planner supplies. So I have Sharpies in here. These are the extra fine Sharpies in the mini size. I think that these are still available. These are at least 15 years old. I'm not even kidding about that. And they came on the ring, which is really cool because it's got this little thing on the lid. And then I also have just a regular fine point Sharpie that I have, a black one, and I just use this to write on weather stickers or some other larger stickers. Oh, that's really all I keep in here as far as pens are concerned. Now I do keep, or I pick out a Sharpie of the month, which probably seems a little silly to some of you, but like for instance, October I used the purple, and then this month I'm using the brown, which you can see kind of right up there. But they came this way, and so I keep them all together, and I just keep them right here in this basket. Then I have some weather stickers that are on a roll. I've got a few other random weather stickers because I do track the weather. And a lot of people have asked why I do that or why other people do that. I think we all have our own reasons. Mine is really, I'm a mom, and so I got used to doing that because we have really crazy weather here. You know, we have like 100 degrees down to 20 below. So I need to know whether we need a coat or we need rain boots or something like that. And I also had a job that was indoor outdoor, and same thing. I needed to know from day to day whether I needed to bring literally my parka or whether I needed to be in shorts because it was going to be super hot. So I also have a huge garden. In the spring and the summer, I track weather for the sunshine and the rainfall. Now I'm tracking it for my garden because we are getting close to getting to freezing temperatures. Like last week, we had 2 nights where we were pretty close to freezing. And if there is an actual freeze forecasted, then I would just need to go out and pick the rest of my squash and my tomatoes. So those are the reasons I track it. Again, if it works for you, fine. If not, don't worry about it. And I have just a few rolls of washi in here, and these are all very specific. So I have this rain fabric washi, and I just ran out of the large rain stickers, and then I also have these because I also ran out of clouds. This has some rain on there too. So I have that specifically for tracking weather, and then these two are tracking my husband's travel. So he obviously is going to be traveling either by plane or by car for the most part, mostly by plane, and I just keep track of how he's traveling. He does travel by train once in a while when he's on the East Coast, but I don't necessarily need to know that he's traveling from DC to New York on the train. I just need to know where he's at. So I just keep those two in there. These stickers I use to mark right here where he actually is, or where, you know, somebody else in my family are. So those are the couple stickers that I keep there. I also have some dimensional stickers here, which I'll show you because I have some examples, but these actually ended up being a really happy accident. I ordered some cute Sticko stickers from Amazon, and I don't know if the description was lacking or I just didn't pay close enough attention or a combination of the two, but they ended up coming and they were dimensional stickers, which I don't use any type of dimensional or puffy type stickers in my personal planner. So I was really disappointed at first, but then I had the brainstorm to use these on my monthly calendar because it doesn't matter. I for the most part, throw these away just at the end of the month. So like the Sharpies, I don't mind using because I don't care if it bleeds through. Same thing with the dimensional stickers. I don't really care because it doesn't matter if it's dimensional. So those are two types of supplies I can use on my family wall calendar that I would not normally use in my personal planner. So this one right here is called, if you're interested, this is Cherries and Berries. And this had red strawberries on it that I used for the month of July. And these cherries right here, they kind of remind me of holly or mistletoe. So I'm going to be using these in December. So I just pick out either a shape like this for a sticker that's smaller or colors. And I just mark those off with any events that come up. Now I kept track and kind of tallied these up, and I just made a note over here. But on average, I use about 35 little stickers like this to mark off any events or whatever's going on. So that's just my life. I don't know how yours is, but as you can see right here, you get 170 stickers. And I think this was like either 99 cents or $1.99. You can get these at Target or some other craft stores. So really, you know, this would last anywhere from 4 to 6 months depending on how many stickers you use. So that's a really good bargain, I think. And like I said, it turned out to be great because I can use up my dimensional stickers. And then there's just a couple other ones that I had that are dimensional. I also have some religious stickers in here that I just put a sticker on Sunday for church. And then I also have these right here, which are just those dollar packs that you get from any of the craft stores. This is one of the ones that I'm using for November. And I'll get to these other ones in just a minute. So here are the ones that I've chosen for November. And there's just some, I use the larger stickers to mark off the days. And then this one right here, I'm going to show you because I'm going to use these in December. As you can see, these are, you can tell because they're glittery that they're kind of dimensional. They're not quite as thick, I would say, as some of the other ones, but I really like these because it's an Advent and I'm going to use those on December. So that just gives you an idea of some ones that I've used and how I keep all those things organized for my calendar. So let me show you now, and you might need to sit down, like prepare yourselves for a shock because I'm going to show you what my months end up looking like. And I'm just going to say it's a mess. It looks like a unicorn threw up stickers or a 6-year-old raided my stash or something. I don't really necessarily think it looks attractive, but that's not really my point with the family calendar. My point is everyone can see what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on. And it is something for me is I can use up some of these like cardstock type stickers or these extremely large stickers that wouldn't fit into my planner because I am trying to use up some of my supplies and that I normally wouldn't be able to use, like the dimensional stickers, the really ugly stickers, or the large ones, things like that. I can use up these on my family wall calendar. So let me show you now some examples of some months. So here is, so you can see August. And yeah, it's a complete mess, but it's all good. So here's some examples. I had pink was my theme for this one. Here's my washi, but I had light pink and I used I had hearts and little circles that I used. And then as you can see the weather, I have all different kinds of stickers and other things that I've used. But I usually put it in the upper right hand corner. And then for the most part, I try and put my husband's travel schedule on the bottom. This one right here, I had already written in this event, and then he had added this trip, and so that's why this one is at the top. But for the most part, I like to put his travel at the bottom. And then pretty much the rest of the stuff is just all of our daily things that have come up for our family schedule. And then here is September. Oh, I was going to show you. Okay, so this is an example of the ugly stickers I was talking about, like animals riding bicycles. No. But the reason I bought this particular pack, Ride My Bike, is because I really liked the birds and the airplanes that it had in here. They were really cute, and they've got some star ones too. So that's really why I bought the sticker pack. So for me, this is a win-win. I can mark off the days with ugly stickers and get rid of them, but still have the cute ones left. And is it necessary to mark off the days? Absolutely not. But like I said, I can use up some of my stash that way. And it's a nice visual thing as well. Here is September, and here's the sticker pack that I used for that one. Again, would I ever buy a sticker pack with woodland creatures in clothing? Absolutely not. But this one is super cute because it's got like sunflowers and vegetables and pumpkins and just harvest types of things. We have apple trees, so I really like that one. So that's really why I bought this sticker book. Again, the same thing. I had the red and pink dimensional circles right there. Same thing. As you can see, there is a method to the madness, even though it looks atrocious. And then here is October. Now, if I can get a really cool picture of this, this is going to be the cover for this video right here, because these green and yellow stickers that I marked off the days with are actually all glow in the dark. And I'm just going to fully admit that I'm a complete nerd, and I would turn the light on and charge up these stickers and then turn off my kitchen light and possibly just stare at the awesomeness of the glow-in-the-dark stickers, because I'm in love with glow-in-the-dark. But anyway, that's me. So yeah, that's how October ended up. And then I love this system so much that I'm going to continue it into next year. However, since I am trying to use up my supplies, I had this Post-it huge wall pad right here that's as you can see, it's a weekly calendar, a monthly calendar. I made it into a monthly, and I just put, these are just regular stickers here that I marked off and made into a monthly calendar. So it's going to be the same exact format. It's definitely smaller, so I hope it's going to be okay, but I'm definitely going to give this a good try. So yeah, I'm going to keep with that. And then if you like the idea, and I think I forgot to mention this, but a couple things. Here's an example of those glow-in-the-dark stickers and also my weather stickers. If you have something like with my stash right here, these are all the same type of stickers, and so I just have those all grouped together, because otherwise I had like, four or five packs of things that were just floating around separately. So that's how I've kept my like items together in this particular basket. These Halloween stickers I have a few star stickers left, but again, I had like 6 different packs of glow-in-the-dark stickers that I kept together. So that's an organizational tip if you're interested in that. And then if you'd like the dimensional sticker idea, I mean, there's tons of stickers out there. There's some really expensive ones I've seen at like Joann's, but these ones I found, and I'm going to end up doing a color coding video later, which is why I bought these. But these right here are very dimensional. I don't know if you can tell how high they sit up, but really cool colors, gold, pink, red, purple, blue. And these are only $1, and you get 315 stickers for $1. I mean, that's almost, you would only need like 1 or 2 of those for your entire year. So anyway, that's my monthly, and that's working out really well. A side note is my husband takes pictures apparently of each month at the end, which he just told me about. So I really appreciate his validation, even though it's, like I said, not the most attractive thing in the world. But that's not what the point is. The point is to communicate with my family. Okay, so now my second system here is going to be my family weekly planner. Now this one I started later in the year because I didn't get the great idea for this. Now I'm trying to get this in the frame here, but I have this larger type of easel, and my family planner just sits like this. It actually doesn't sit with the cover like this. I actually have it open to the week, which this is the week right here. So it just kind of sits in the easel. I know you can't really see this too well, but it just sits on the easel open like this. And my family, this is on my, my monthly calendar is in my kitchen, and then this is going to be in my living room. And it just kind of sits like this on the easel, open for my family to see. And it's one of the first things that you can see when you walk into my front door. So they really don't have an excuse not to know what's going on, except if they just aren't looking at the calendar, which is not my problem. My responsibility is to communicate. So here is my family planner, and this is my Erin Condren, which I know you've seen before. I changed out the cover for November. And I'm sure that I know that some of you have seen this before because I've done a couple of different things with this, but let me just show you how I have this set up. So this is September, and for the most, I do, with the monthly, I do menu planning. So for September, I just did dinners. I mark off the days with a whole reinforcement, and then for the most part, I don't put any schedule items in here unless they specifically affect meal planning. So like here we had a going out to dinner with some friends that were in town, and then the lines right here are my husband's travel schedule. And then I just checked off things that we had, you know, the actual planned items that we had. And then right here I was either writing down menu or recipe items to try or some ingredients that I wanted to use up. Here is October, the month that we just finished. These were things I needed to buy because I did a no-spend month. So these were the things I needed to buy before I went into the no-spend month. Again, everything's just checked off. I started doing breakfast in October and checking things off when we had them. And then I also started circling the items that we really loved and wanted to incorporate into our regular meal planning. So here's just some examples of my family calendar. I do track the weather up here. It may seem a little bit redundant, but I do have a lot of weather stickers to use, and I always want to know what the weather is. So for the most part, it's just appointments. I do track my husband's travel as well, and then I also track personal events in here. So each one of my children or husband, if they have an event themselves, or if there's a family event, that will all go into this weekly. And then of course we've got a church sticker right here, and then I was writing down menu items down here. It got to be crazy where, you know, things got moved to different days, so I didn't like the crossing out here. But again, the same kind of thing, birthdays, any events that were going on. This is what we picked, our apple trees for our family, so that was everything. Everybody needed to help with that. Then I started doing menu items on these repositionable Avery labels, and that worked out really well. Again, the same thing. We've got some, you know, car registration type of things, time with family. There's a lesson, some things we needed to do. I did mark the first day of autumn. For the most part, there's not a ton of decorative things on here. You know, some people may beg to differ, but for the most part, most of my stickers are functional, even though it does look like a huge mess. And then here we are in October. That's when I did my no spend, which you guys have all just seen. And so here's just same thing with that. Now I'll show you, like right here, there's some tests. So my children are all grown. I have a couple of children that are still in college, and I'm not a helicopter parent by any stretch of the imagination. And so you're probably wondering, you know, no, they absolutely don't need my help. But at the beginning of the week, whenever that is, whether it's, you know, September, that's the month, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, somewhere in there, I will sit down and try and talk to each one of my family members and figure out what their schedule is for the week. And I don't do that for control necessarily. I mean, not at all, actually. I'm doing that, and I explain this to them. I'm doing that because I need to know for my life, if they're going to need my help, if they have a really super busy day, like, am I going to need to have breakfast on the go for them? Or are they going to be able to sit down for breakfast? Or if they have a test, you know, I've helped them study for tests before when they, you know, they needed quizzing or something like that. Or were religious, so if they want me to pray for them when they go into a test or a really big presentation or something like that, or they're getting a new job and they have a job interview, those are the kinds of things that I will write down in here, just because we want to be supportive of each other and we want to communicate. So that's really why I'm keeping track of my kids' schedule. They don't need me, but they do need my support once in a while. So here is this past week that we just ended up with. And I mark off my husband's days when he takes the day off. And Royals just won the World Series, so that's exciting because I'm from Kansas City. And then here is this week. So here are all the menu items that I have planned and have not made for one reason or another. And I'm kind of still in the, as you can see, a little bit of pre-planning right here. I've got a sticky note. As you can see, these are the terrible Target ones. It wasn't sticking, so I had to get a random sticker to hold it down with. But I'll either have these kinds of little sticky notes for little events, or if I have more than one thing, I'll get a bigger one. This is my husband's schedule for this particular week. So here's just, that's just how I'm pre-planning right there. We've got my mom and dad's 50th anniversary, so that's really exciting. And then a little vacation, some Thanksgiving, so that's going to be a big week. But this is just how I have handled my weekly family calendar, which has worked out really, really, really well. So I hope that's been helpful for you. And like I said, I would love to hear how you guys have your family organized and your systems set up. And one more thing is, sorry, I just knocked you. This Erin Condren runs out in December. So if you're curious, yes, I plan on continuing the weekly family calendar as well. I am going to be using my A5. This is my Franklin Covey Classic Aurora. And I do have it set up just a little bit. I've got just blank, I think these are Avery inserts, honestly, that I had laying around. And I have, as you can see, started decorating just a little bit and setting it up for the month. These were undated, so I had to put washi tape, which is the numbers right here, as well as the months. So I have it set up just a little bit for this next year, but I do plan on continuing this system because it has worked out really, really well. So I hope that's been helpful. I know this is getting to be a little bit of a long video, but I had two systems to explain it to you. So thank you as usual for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. I will talk to you soon.